This is NHTV2, North Haven Government Television, a service of North Haven Community Television. The following program is brought to you through the support of the Town of North Haven.
Okay. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to our December Board of Selectmen meeting, our last Board of Selectmen meeting of the year. It seems hard to believe. I'm Mike Friede, your first selectman, joined as always by our second selectman, Mr. William Piper, and our third selectwoman, Ms. Sally Boemi. Thank you very much for being here. I'd like to ask everyone to stand for our Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Item number 2, any public comment to our agenda this evening? All right. Seeing none, we'll go to item number 3, the approval of the minutes of the Board of Selectmen meeting from November 4th, 2021. Is there a motion to accept?
Yes, there's a typo in the agenda. It's 2021, not 2001.
Right.
2001.
But I will make a motion to approve the Board of Selectmen minutes from the meeting of November 4th, 2021.
Is there a second?
I'll second Sally's motion.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? Hearing none, we'll call for that vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Item number 4, the appointment of Sally Boemi, 5 Blossom Drive, North Haven, as secretary to our Board of Selectmen. I will make a motion to appoint Sally Boemi. Is there a second?
I'll second that Sally's appointment.
All right, we have a motion, we have a second. Any other discussion? All right, hearing none, we'll call for that vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I have to recuse.
Yes.
I'm honored once again.
We are delighted and grateful that you.
All it means is I have to sign a bunch of stuff every month.
Okay.
It's a great, great honor.
It's a wonderful honor. I appreciate everything you do as our secretary.
I will sign my name as best as I possibly can.
Okay.
You have very nice handwriting versus
Thank you.
Mike and me.
Yeah. Thank you very much for that. All right. So item number 5, this is a discussion and possible action, a proposed gift by Louis Tagliatella, Stephen Tagliatella, and Tricia Tagliatella. And the Tagliatella family is a family I've been very close with since I took office in 2009. And this is a proposed gift of the North Haven Tennis Health and Racket Club to the town of North Haven. I'm going to tee this up with sort of a 60-second overview. It's something I've been heavily involved with. We have our town attorney here, Jeff D'Onofrio, and we have Anna here from Tennis for All, and Carlos here from the Boys and Girls Club, and maybe a couple of constituents here who utilize the facility and love it the way it is. So in the beginning, back in 1974, the town of North Haven and the wonderful Tagliatella family put together this agreement where the town owned the land and the Tagliatella family owned the building, Health and Racket Club. And that relationship blossomed for years. And that relationship, I was very grateful, continued to blossom when I took office in December of '09. This is a wonderful family here, very generous, very philanthropic. And as time went on, through COVID, the family decided that they wanted to get out of running the facility. So along came Anna and Tennis for All, who have a great deal of experience operating facilities like this. And they've done a great job for us here in North Haven in managing the facility, working with us and working with the Tagliatella family. The original intent was that the family was going to gift the facility to Tennis for All, and we would still hold the ground lease of the land. That did not materialize. So we're here tonight to talk about the Tagliatella family gifting the facility to us. And there is a lot of work been done by our town attorney, Jeff D'Onofrio. We have attorneys here from also representing the Tagliatella family. And all of us have worked very well together on this. I'm going to stop by saying that in the beginning, it was not my intention to take the facility over as a town. But that didn't work out for whatever the reasons with TFA. And I am supporting now the town taking the facility, because the unintended consequences of the town not taking the facility are that the facility could close. And then everybody becomes disenfranchised. The hundreds and hundreds of citizens who use it, those that play tennis, the senior citizens, the people that use it for pickleball, the Boys and Girls Club, who are such an integral part of our town of North Haven, our school system right now, they'd be disenfranchised. Our high school athletics would be disenfranchised, and those that are using it, colleges, in particular Quinnipiac University and also Albertus Magnus. Everyone's disenfranchised. So Jeff and the attorneys have worked very closely, and I'm going to have Jeff come up momentarily to explain this in terms of what it means for the town, the content of the responsibilities of who's going to have what responsibility. The town will have certain responsibilities, and TFA, Tennis for All, will have many responsibilities as the operator who will be managing it for us. And there are segments of this that include tax revenue for the town. But I'm going to turn it over now to our town attorney, Jeff D'Onofrio, to take us all through this very important discussion here tonight. This is a very, very important discussion here tonight in our Board of Selectmen. Jeffrey?
Good evening, folks. Good to see you. So as Mike indicated, the town owns the property at 100 Elm Street. And in 1974, the town entered into a ground lease with Lou Tagliatella Sr., and the court club was constructed. And the original ground lease had a term of 20 years with 6 5-year options. The court club was built, and the lease was amended in 2001 to change the tenant to North Haven Health and Racket. The original facility was expanded over the years into a fitness center, and as Mike indicated, COVID-19 impacted all fitness centers, including North Haven Health and Racket. The Tagliatellas, for various reasons, decided they didn't want to continue to operate the facility, and they subleased the building in September of 2020 to Tennis for All. So Tennis for All has been in there operating the facility for the last 14, 15 months now. And the Tagliatella's intent, as Mike indicated, was to gift the building to Tennis for All, but there were legal issues that prevented that from happening. So the town was approached earlier this year by the Tagliatella and offered the building and personal property, the equipment that's inside the building and the fixtures. And TFA, likewise, Tennis for All, approached the town about continuing to operate, finding some type of structure that would allow TFA to continue to operate the facility. So obviously, whenever the town is going to take a building, whether it's a gift or whether the town's going to pay some amount of money for it, there's various concerns. So we started with having a phase 1 environmental site assessment performed, and that came back clean. We then had a structural assessment done by a structural engineering firm. We also had the roof looked at. There were some punch list items that needed to be resolved, nothing structural, but with respect to the roof, some of those items still haven't been resolved. So before anything can be signed on a transaction, if it gets approved by the board, those items have to be resolved. But the structure of the deal that you're considering goes like this, okay? The Tagliatellas and Tennis for All currently have a sublease because our tenant under the ground lease, the Tagliatellas, North Haven Health and Racket, if you will, subleased the space, as I indicated, in September of 2020 to TFA. So that sublease has to be terminated. The Tagliatellas will gift the building and the personal property to the town. The Tagliatellas, the town, and TFA will enter into an agreement whereby the tagliatelles assign their interest in the ground lease to Tennis for All. Tennis for All accepts that assignment, and the town consents to the assignment. The tagliatelles in that agreement agree to indemnify the town for any claims or obligations arising prior to the assignment, things like personal injury claims, unhappy customers, things that happened prior to the town accepting the property. The town needs to be indemnified and held harmless for. The last thing that would happen would be Tennis for All and the town would enter into an amendment to the ground lease, okay? And that amendment would provide that the ground lease is merged into the amendment and converted to a lease, because the town will then own both the land, the improvements, and the personal property. So we need to have a lease that covers the building in addition to the property. Tennis for All will accept the premises, the equipment, the facility as is, without any representations or warranties from the town, because we can't make any representations or warranties. We don't own any of it right now. We have no idea what the condition of it is, so it wouldn't be prudent for the town to make the types of representations and warranties that a landlord would typically make to a tenant. The lease, as it currently stands, will expire July 31 of 2024. Tennis for All has already made a commitment to the facility over the last 14, 15 months. Tennis for All was looking for an extension of the lease. I think the minimum amount they were looking for was 5 years. The town just isn't comfortable with any type of a long-term commitment, because this is very new. This is something that's somewhat unusual for the town. Town does not want to be an operator of a fitness center, and in order for this to work, we need the opportunity to opt out when that lease expires in 2.5 years, if for whatever reason it's not working out with Tennis for All. But the Board of Selectmen will have that power. You'll be notified prior to the expiration of the lease if Tennis for All wants to extend the lease. You'll have the opportunity to meet, talk about how it's been going, and decide whether you want to issue an RFP, take it over, do something else, or re-up with Tennis for All. The other issue that we dealt with on the financial front is right now we're getting rent under the ground lease, and we're getting taxes. Once the town becomes the owner of the fee interest in the improvements, in addition to owning the ground, the property becomes tax exempt. We don't want to lose the tax revenue. So what we insisted on in the negotiations with TFA is that they make a monthly payment on an annual basis equal to what the taxes would be if the property remained on the grand list as a taxable property. And they would have all the same rights that they would have to contest the taxes if they own the property. A tenant has a right anyway under the Connecticut General Statute 12117A to file a tax appeal if they think the taxes are too high. But we wanted to make sure that the town didn't lose the tax revenue by virtue of this arrangement, and TFA agreed to that. TFA, of course, will be obligated for all aspects of operating the facility. That includes maintenance and repair and cleaning. That includes both the facility and the equipment, and they're going to be responsible for all their costs and expenses in doing so. Likewise, TFA will indemnify, defend, and hold the town harmless from any claims that any tort claim, somebody slips and falls or gets hurt, or an unhappy member of the club. We need to be protected because we'll be owning the building and be exposed to a different type of risk than we currently are as the owner of the land. And the last provision that was heavily discussed and is in the Second Amendment is a provision that allows TFA the opportunity, if they can't operate the facility on a break-even basis, to provide the town with notice that they're not operating the facility on a break-even basis. The town can require whatever information is reasonable to verify that assertion, and a suspension of rent until such time as the town and TFA either agree on a reduced rent, or the town can exercise its option to go back out with an RFP to seek a different operator with TFA in the space, not paying rent, operating the facility until such time as the town secures another operator. So that's the basic structure of it. It's somewhat of an unusual transaction, but as Mike indicated, the options that the town faces in terms of trying to keep the facility operating and having continuity of operations, there's some pretty limited options. So the crux of it is, the town's not taking on liability for anything that's happened in the past. We had the phase 1 environmental done, it was clean. We had a structural review done, it was clean. The town already owns the land. We're gonna get pilot so that we're not out of pocket on the taxes. The ground lease rent is gonna continue to be rent under the lease. And that's pretty much it.
Before we open it up to Sally and Bill for questions, it might be helpful, Sally and Bill, if we'd like to hear from some of the people who were directly involved with this also, either someone from the Tagliatella family, Carlos from the Boys and Girls Club, Anna from TFA, and then we can open it up to questions.
I think that's a good idea because there's perspective from the Tagliatella family and from TFA that I think the board ought to be privy to. Okay?
Sure. So, ladies and gentlemen, this is Mr. Lou Tagliatella.
Junior.
Oh, is it?
Junior.
Junior, that's right, the junior, so.
Okay, take it off. I've been vaccinated, boosted. I've had the single shot and the pneumonia shot. The only thing they forgot was rabies. But hello, everyone. Nice to be here. Jeff, I'm under the impression that everything on the punch list is 100% done. And my project manager just texted him in Madison. Steve Lopes is out of state. We'll get an answer to you by tomorrow. But I know men went over there to work on some additional iron they wanted welded to the front overhead structure. We had some roofing repaired and caulking and flashing. So I would have never come here unprepared. I assumed that you had a letter. If you don't, then we owe you a letter of what we've done to date and telling you if we think we missed anything. Okay, so we'll get back.
Yeah, there's been some back and forth between TFA's counsel, Peter Gravella, Bob Lightsey, and I about what's left to be done. I think most of it's done, but there were still, as of a couple of days ago, a couple of items that
Okay, I'll dig into it tomorrow.
The only reason I raised it is because we can't do anything transaction-wise until it's all done.
Understood. We would never expect it to. Thank you. Just 1 minute history. So my dad was a tennis player 55 years ago. He played with his 3 buddies from North Haven at the only indoor club in New Haven County, and that was the Derby Club off Route 34 under Stahl's Jeep. They sold Jeeps up there. Of course, fast forward to 3 years, there's 8 clubs. Saybrook, Guilford, North Branford, North Haven, Hamden, Woodbridge, and I'm probably forgetting 1 or 2, but that's how and Milford, you're right. So my dad was over there playing tennis. He could never get court time because it got so damn popular with everybody wanted to go indoors. He had lunch with Lester Gott, your first selectman, and Lester said, Lou, have you called some brokers? He said, yes, I've called several people. I'm going to look at some properties. He goes, I'll get back to you. And Lester let us know that the piece for the town was available. We always call it the Cemetery Association, but it's the Town Association. We had a wonderful relationship with all the selectmen, including right up to this gentleman right here for the last 10 or 12 years. So my sister has a little prepared statement. I left my reading glasses home, so I'm going to have her read it, okay? And if you have any questions of me, I'd be happy to answer them.
Let's hear from Trish.
Okay, Trish.
Some of this has really already been said by the Honorable Mike Frieda. But as everybody knows, that it was in 1974 that my dad signed a lease with the town, which allowed him to build a tennis facility at 100 Elm Street. And for all of these years, my family and North Haven Health and Racket have enjoyed an excellent relationship with the town. 47 years has passed, and my family has decided to limit its business interests. We have other properties that we own, and the important thing, especially to me, because I managed the club for many years, was that the club remain a club in North Haven to serve the fitness and tennis and fitness needs of the people of the town and the community. And as a gesture of appreciation, we decided to offer the facility and the equipment to the town, so it will remain a club accessible to all the people, the many, many people who have enjoyed the club and have learned how to play tennis and have, you know, kept themselves healthy. It's really a desire of mine that, you know, if we're not going to operate it ourselves, wouldn't it be wonderful that it can still continue? So we are very grateful to Mike Frida for his support, and we hope for the best for the club and for everybody here.
Thank you very much, Trish. Before we get into questions from Bill and Sally, would anyone else like to speak? Anna or Carlos?
So like I was telling Carlos earlier today, I'm not very used to public speaking, so if I'm a little nervous, you'll hear it. But I did want to say something. And first I want to start by thanking everyone, First Selectman Frida, Attorney D'Onofrio, and the entire Board of Selectmen. I want to thank you all for allowing me to speak tonight, and I really do appreciate your time. I personally hear a lot of appreciation and a lot of praise about what goes on at the club, but I'd be the first to say that it's not just me who carries the responsibility. I have a loyal and hardworking team that works with me over there, and I'd like to introduce you to them, even though they weren't able to make it tonight. The first member I'd like to introduce is my husband, Ahmed Mumbarek. He's a professor at Yale University, and we're really, really fortunate as a team to have him with us because of his expertise working with nonprofits, both setting up and working with nonprofits globally. And another member of our team is Isidro Martinez, and he's responsible for the sports management and junior development at the club. Rodrigo Frias, who's a North Haven resident himself, he is responsible for sports operation and for heading the pros at the club. And the last member, but of course not the least, is Sudhakar Gorti. And he does a wonderful job with marketing and IT and finance with us. So now that I've introduced the team, I just want to give everyone a little bit of background of how everything started and our journey so far. Back in September of last year, we were given the opportunity by the Tagliatella family, and I'd like to say how grateful we are to your family for giving us the opportunity to open the club then and to operate it. We really are really, truly grateful and appreciative for you giving us that opportunity. It wasn't easy. We had to open an entirely new business after the club had been closed for months. So we had to set up a new payroll, set up utilities. We had to set up and transition to a new cloud-based system to do point of sales and management over there. So the usual stuff had to be done to set up a business, but in addition to that, we opened a club in the midst of a global pandemic. So definitely had to make sure that the entire building was safe, because that was our utmost top priority, was to make sure that every single person who walked in the club was healthy and safe, and to make sure that the entire club was ready to keep the community healthy. So we also had in mind, though, that the entire fitness and health industry in the US was heavily impacted by COVID. And financially, a lot of the top fitness centers were going through bankruptcy or had a lot of financial hardship. So we knew that our business strategy had to be prudent. And what we did as a result was to open with tennis first, because we knew that tennis is a socially distanced sport and it's safe. But we also wanted to make sure that we restored quickly the loyalty of the season court members and made sure they felt secure and they wouldn't lose any time during their season court calendar. So this was very, very, very important for us. And so after we opened with tennis and hearing feedback from members about what they wanted open next, we next opened the gym in about 2 weeks, and then we opened pickleball, basketball, racquetball. Fast forward to today, we have opened all the usual amenities that are offered at the club. And I guess it sounds seamless, but it wasn't seamless at all. We did have our setbacks. For example, we did lose about 50% of our gym members, but we continued to modify our business strategy, and we were able to keep the doors open at the club. And I'm really, really glad that we've been able to do so, because now, so more than ever, I feel like the club is such an integral and important part of the North Haven community. It's really, really important. In fact, about 2 nights ago, someone, a long-term member, pulled me aside with her husband and friends and says, we really don't know what we would have done if the club wasn't open during COVID. It's just an outlet for us to be able to come here, and it allows us to have some emotional and some mental stability to have the club here. And if it wasn't here, maybe we would be driving to Guilford, but that really wouldn't be ideal. And words like this really encourage us as a team to continue to do our work. But I think largely we continue to believe and to persevere because of our larger vision for the club, which is to operate a nonprofit and to expand the services, to have community outreach programs and a lot of inclusivity activities. And we have started working on that with the Boys and Girls Club. And the executive director, Carlos, is here tonight to speak on our behalf. First, we started with the Boys and Girls Club coming last year, or this year, January, 2 days a week. And the kids, for the first time, a lot of them were introduced to tennis. And the families and the kids absolutely love it. And we're continuing to work with them with the North Haven Public Schools this year with the after-school programs. And it's really, really encouraging because our first, I guess, ask for the North Haven parents, we got a huge response, about 27 families who were interested in doing tennis at the club. And when I say 27 families, a lot of these families have multiple kids. So it's more than 27 kids that are interested in coming and doing tennis with us at the club. We've also partnered with Leap, which is a nonprofit in New Haven, in order to send a pro out to the New Haven public schools to teach tennis to a lot of the kids over there. And we've opened a community book bank at the club because we've received a donation of 300 books from New Haven Reads. So there's a lot that's happening essentially at the club, and we're continuing to grow. And in the future, that's where our passion is as a team, is for that to continue to grow. And of course, Trish, like you said, to be able to cater to the usual amenities that your family has and the club has offered throughout the years. But I hope this brief speech has given you some idea of the caliber of team that I have over there and the caliber of the programs that we have envisioned for the club in the future. We do realize that our goal and our vision is ambitious, but we're really, really excited. We're really, really excited about the positive impact that this can have on the North Haven community, as well as other communities, surrounding communities. And we really feel hopeful as well, especially gaining support from everyone here and others like you, because we think we'll be able to, with your support and with our passion, we'll be able to persevere during these challenging times, but also for the future to come. Thank you all so very much.
All right. Thank you, Anna. All right. Carlos, did you want to say anything? Okay. All right.
Just in support, you know, when you speak to the spirit of community, when you speak to the spirit of partnerships, you know, the Mumbarek family really stepped up, and you know, I thank the Tagliatelli family for providing that opportunity to the Mumbarek family, because I represent the youth in town. We provide a service now. We went from serving 70 youth in the town of North Haven to over 293 youth currently at the 4 elementary schools and the middle school. And so last year was a tough year for us because we did not have an opportunity to provide those services full scale. And through working with Anna and her team, we were able to not only continue to provide services at Hope Church, but provide a gym and tennis lessons, things that our youth weren't able to access prior to that partnership. So I thank the Mumbarek family, and I look forward to a continued partnership because the community needs it, of course, and we as an organization can see this continue to grow as the years progress. So just wanted to show support for the family.
All right, thank you, Carlos. For those watching on TV, Carlos is the executive director of the Boys and Girls Club. So now I know that Sally and Bill probably have some questions on the technical aspect of what Jeff presented. Sections 7, 8, 9, and 12 are very important in this amendment that you see and in this document. So, Bill, I'll have Sally go first and see if she has any questions.
Sure, thank you. First, I just want to say I agree with the first selectman that it's imperative that we take all necessary and appropriate steps to maintain this facility in town. It's been around for years. I remember when it opened. I was a senior in high school. It was very exciting. And I heard from some citizens yesterday and today because of this matter pending before us today, by email and by phone, urging me to support this. And again, I fully support maintaining the facility. And I just want to say that to Anna, I heard from one very loyal, longtime participant at the facility before and since you took over, saying that what a great facility it is since you took over, and that it's just been run great and very clean and just beautifully run. So I heard a lot of supportive comments from citizens who contacted me about the facility. I understand, Michael, how when you were first heard this, of your reluctance.
Yeah.
It caught me
By surprise.
I had the same. Municipalities own a lot of stuff. They own libraries and schools and firehouses and police departments and things like that. They usually do not own privately operated health and racquetball clubs. So when Mr. D'Onofrio said this was a strange or unusual transaction, I agree with him. So I did have some questions for Mr. D'Onofrio, if that's okay?
Absolutely.
Yeah. The original lease in May of '74 was with the North Haven Cemetery Association, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, not the town. That was a private corporation.
Yeah, it
that
was assigned
Yes.
to the town.
It was assigned prior, because I think it was in '88 that the Cemetery Association quitclaimed the property over to the town.
Right.
But you're saying the lease was assigned to the town before that?
Yes.
Because I was wondering, you presented us, which I just got today, the second amendment to the ground lease. What was the first? It's referenced here, but what was the substance of the first amendment to the ground lease from 2013?
The primary amendment was the assignment to North Haven Health and Racket of the lessee became North Haven Health and Racket.
Okay. Rather than, because the original was Louis Tagliatella.
Right.
Okay. So when I first heard about this, three things popped up into my head immediately. One was loss of tax revenue, next was liability and insurance issues, and third, maintenance and repair provisions. And all of those are addressed in this second amendment. I would like to talk about the tax revenue first, which is item 7. You said that, because now, as you said, now that the town will be the owner of the building and the fixtures, we won't be getting personal property tax on that anymore. So here it says that the rent will include an amount equal to the property taxes assessed by landlord on the facility as of October 1st, 2019 grand list.
Right.
That would be due if the facility were owned by TFA.
Yes.
As opposed to the town, which there's no tax, it's tax exempt. And that would be paid, as you said, monthly pro rata. Now, the fact that it had a grand list in there, is that obligation frozen at that grand list amount?
No, the idea was to establish the fair market value for tax assessment purposes instead of just not referencing any grand list. Gary Johns and I decided to include a grand list.
Okay, because the way I read it, it sounded, do you understand my concern? It sounds like the obligation is frozen at that particular year, and I was wondering why October 1st, 2019 and not 2020, which is the current grand list for tax purposes.
No, I mean, the idea was just, again, to establish the fair market value for tax assessment purposes. I mean, it's...
Doesn't the assessor do that every year? But they won't be doing it every year because it's town-owned?
Well, he does it
that
every
it?
5 years.
Oh,
Revaluation.
reval. You said assessment. Property is assessed,
Yeah.
oh, the reval is every 5 years, but
Yeah.
you pay every year.
Yeah.
Right, but I was wondering, the way I read this, and I had a couple of colleagues in my office today read it as well, and they agreed with me, interpreted it as frozen at that one amount. So that's my question. Whatever the assessed value as of October 1st was, is that going to be the permanent tax revenue that we'll be receiving for the term of the lease? Or will it be changing
No,
based on,
It says set amount shall be based upon the landlord's valuation and assessment of the facility.
set amount? What set amount?
The taxes.
Right, but I thought that it was based on the October 1st grand list.
So Sally, what are you saying? You want us to not refer to a grand list? Is that the edit that you want me to talk to the lawyers about?
Right, to me, it would make more sense to remove as of the October 1st, 2019 grand list. Then because to me, that reads that you're freezing that tax revenue at that amount that was due that year, because that's already done.
That's not what it says, though. I mean,
Okay, well-
I understand. I can make that edit. That's not a big
You're
deal.
saying said amount shall be based upon the landlord's valuation and assessment of the facility. So that's going to be done every year?
Every 5 years,
For
revamp.
every 5 years?
Yeah, by
Okay,
statute.
right. But so every 5 years, the assessor's office is going to reval land owned by the town?
No,
No.
every 5 years.
Every 5 years?
The town is required to revalue all real estate on its grand list.
Right, whether it's exempt or not?
Yes.
Okay,
And so this property will be included in revaluation.
okay. So what is the purpose of putting October 1st, 2019 in there?
To establish at the time that this document is entered into, what the valuation is based on.
Okay, before the reval occurs?
Correct.
Okay, all right. And, but let me just read my notes here. So
But Sally,
as,
you'd be satisfied if you simply maybe added a phrase that may be adjusted from time to time, or
well,
is that?
as he's saying.
Is that what?
Well,
that's
this is
probably
what
all
was
you're
confusing me. I didn't know if a reval was going to be done because it had that grand list listed in there. That's what I found confusing. That the fact that if the grand list reference wasn't in there, then it would have been much clearer to me what was going on. But as long as you're saying said amount shall be based upon the landlord's valuation and assessment of the facility, I assume that's a set amount meant the October 1st grand list amount. But you're saying it will be a continuing obligation every 5 years. And so it will change. The monthly tax obligation will change as the assessed valuation changes with reval every 5 years. That's what I want.
Pilot is additional rent.
Right. I got that.
Pilot amount is based on the assessed value of the property. The assessed value of the property is determined through statutory reval every 5 years.
Right. Okay. That's, because of the specific reference to that grand list, it made that not as clear. So that's,
We'll take the reference out. Like I said, it's not, we thought that it made it more clear, but if
Okay.
the board wants us to delete the reference to a particular grand list year, we could do that.
okay. It would make
Again,
more sense to
As
me.
I've said, you could maybe just add a parenthetical phrase that, that may be adjusted from time to time or initially, that just makes it clear that that's the initial determination. So, because I think it does establish a base, at least, like you said.
Okay.
Would that satisfy you, Sally? If we
Yes.
Maybe, said initially or, and
Well,
it may be adjusted from time to time?
Well, it will be revalued every 5 years.
Or it may be revalued from time to time.
What Attorney D'Onofrio is suggesting, which is removing the reference to the specific grand list, to me would make it clearer and make more sense to me. That's all. And if you're willing to do that, then I'm fine with that.
Yeah, I'll talk to
Okay.
Attorney Zarella about it. I don't
Okay.
think he'll have an issue with it.
Okay. The next issue that I wanted to bring up had to do with paragraph 8, which is about equipment and fixtures, and reading that in conjunction with paragraph 12. Because in Article 8, it talks about how TFA, Tennis for All, shall maintain equipment and fixtures, okay? But shall not be responsible for replacement of equipment. Is that equipment and fixtures or just equipment?
Just equipment.
Okay, so any equipment that is lost due to reasonable wear and tear, they do not have to replace, but the town can replace at their option and at the town's cost.
That's what it says.
Right. And I read that because in 12, it mentions fixtures. Again, it talks about TFA being exclusively responsible for routine ordinary maintenance and repairs of the premises to keep the facility and premises in good working order, reasonably preserve the ordinary lifespan of any fixtures, and I circled fixtures because that was referenced in Article 12, which is in paragraph 8 here as well. And in this case, if they fail to maintain or repair, the landlord can come in and do it, and then TFA would be responsible for that cost.
Correct.
So I just wondered if you, I just saw like a little conflict between, I see a wear and tear versus failure to maintain battle going on here. I mean, it just sets the stage for if something goes wrong with a piece of equipment or a fixture, is it from wear and tear, which TFA is not responsible, and then the town would have to pay at their option, or is it from a lack of maintenance and repair, which again, the town can come in and fix and then charge TFA for. So there's different financial responsibilities for each one. I just see a potential problem between the difference between a wear and tear and failure to maintain and repair. How will you be able to distinguish the two?
Well, again, this is personal property that's
Right.
being gifted to the town. The town has not paid anybody to go in and do an inspection and a condition assessment and analysis of the equipment. I suppose we could do that. You want to spend the money. I don't know why you would. It's being given to you for nothing. I don't know why you'd spend money to figure out how much life it has left on.
Well, because the equipment is necessary for the continued operation of the facility.
Right,
So
but the town doesn't have an obligation to replace it.
well, No, it doesn't have an obligation to replace fixtures and equipment due to reasonable wear and tear. TFA's not responsible. The landlord, the town, can replace such equipment at its own expense, at its option, right?
Yes.
So that's what I'm saying. Here, under that situation, it's clearly just as a result of wear and tear. But if equipment, I don't think the current condition of the equipment is relevant, because all equipment over time, can break or break down or not be usable for some reason. And this paragraph says that if the fixtures, structures, but it does mention fixtures, fails in the event that it fails because of a lack of maintenance and repair, then the landlord may enter the facility, complete the maintenance work, or make the necessary repairs and charge TFA for those costs. So how are you going to be able to determine if a piece of equipment that's necessary for the function of the health club, if it breaks down and needs replacing, how are you going to determine if it's from wear and tear or from a lack of maintenance? Because you have different financial responsibilities in those two categories.
The equipment and fixtures that would require a significant financial outlay by the town are MEP, not treadmills, ellipticals, and gym equipment. It's MEP equipment. If you don't maintain MEP equipment, it's pretty easy to tell when it fails.
Okay,
Like the North Haven High School boilers.
right.
Remember those?
Don't remind us.
Yeah, they had flames shooting out of them because they hadn't been cleaned.
Right.
We didn't have any problem establishing that. So, if you don't maintain MEP systems and they fail, it's pretty easy for a contractor or an engineer to tell you why they failed. In terms of differentiating between misuse and failure due to wear and tear for
Right.
a piece of gym equipment, I don't know how you would ever establish
Okay,
that.
well-
I disagree with you on the one hand, because if we did a baseline and then you approve this and a month from now a piece of equipment fails that was inspected and found to be in great condition, then it was either a manufacturing defect or a member abused it. I mean, this stuff gets used. It's
Right. And I
the main
realize.
thing is to not have the town be obligated to replace the equipment. That's what I was concerned about. To not have the town go out of pocket to replace equipment unless the town decides it needs to. If TFA decides that they need to replace equipment because it's essential to their operation, we're not partners with TFA in this
Right.
business venture. That's their decision to make.
So,
they
well-
have a lot invested and a lot at stake in making this succeed. So we don't want to be in a scenario where we have an obligation to go in and replace anything, but at the same time, we have to, depending upon what the nature of the failure is, have the right to do it. I mean, this is a standard provision that's in commercial leases because
Right.
landlords have to prevent waste and have to preserve the safety and value of their property. So, I'm not really sure what the edit is that you're looking for here.
No, I'm not looking for an edit. I'm just, as long as you're satisfied with this language. You were about to, you started a sentence and you never finished it. You said that if equipment should fail from wear and tear, that TFA would have the opportunity to replace it. At whose expense?
At TFA's expense.
Okay. Because it says TFA shall maintain equipment and fixtures in good working condition, but shall not be responsible for replacement of such equipment lost due to reasonable wear and tear.
Which paragraph are you looking at now? 8 again?
8.
Okay. Yeah, that's the, so if there's a piece of equipment
Right.
that, there's 2 types of equipment in this facility. There's equipment that's owned by the town, if this transaction's approved. There's equipment owned by the town, and there's equipment owned by TFA. If a piece of equipment owned by the town fails, The town does not have the obligation to replace it. TFA, at its option, at its expense, may replace it, but it's not obligated to replace it.
Right.
It's
So-
TFA's decision as the operator of the facility whether they want to replace a piece of equipment that fails due to wear and tear.
Okay, so you're making a distinction then between the equipment that we're going to be getting from the Tagliatellas that's in existence right now versus equipment that TFA brings in themselves. Is that what you're saying? So that
TFA had asked for that edit. It was represented to us that TFA was bringing in equipment of their own.
Yeah,
so.
I mean, the beginning of the lease acknowledges that TFA wants to expand its program. So to me, that means that they will be bringing in equipment. But so you're saying that the obligation to, because it says here that TFA shall not be responsible for replacement of such equipment lost due to reasonable wear and tear, that only applies to equipment existing now when this transfer of gift takes place?
No, it applies to any equipment. They're not obligated to replace equipment. They're the operator,
Right.
okay? If
Okay.
they want to replace a piece of equipment, they can. The main point of this is the town isn't obligated. We don't want the town spending money on equipment in the facility. That's the point. If the operator decides that a piece of equipment failed for whatever reason and they want to replace it, that's up to them. They're not obligated to, but neither is the town.
Okay. No, well, it definitely says TFA is not responsible for replacing, so,
But again,
yeah,
Sally,
yeah,
we're saying the same thing.
right,
They're not obligated.
no.
They
but
can if they want to.
Right, okay. Well, that's what it says for the town. The landlord shall have the option, but not the obligation to replace such equipment at its own expense. And you're saying that applies to TFA as well?
Of course.
Okay, well, it doesn't say that. But, okay. And then when you look at 12, where it makes a distinction, and now it says that for lack of maintenance and repair to fixtures, they can be held responsible. If the town comes in and makes the repairs, the town can charge them for that work.
Because the work's necessitated by their failure to maintain and repair,
Okay,
which is an affirmative covenant under the lease.
Right.
They have to maintain and repair. We're not in there.
yeah.
We're not operating.
Okay, all right. I just saw a problem between wear and tear in the first one and failure to maintain in the second, but,
Apples and grapefruits.
okay. I guess I had one question. This might be more, but don't go away. For Anna, you mentioned your husband is an expert at nonprofits. Is TFA Incorporated a nonprofit? Yes. Oh, it is? Oh, okay. So there are provisions in here, I'm on item 14, about if they do not break even, there's provisions saying that they don't have to pay rent, and there's a duration is built in. Is this something that we're anticipating a problem, that they won't break even?
I have no idea. I haven't seen their books. This was something that TFA proposed, and it was very different than what ended up being in here.
Okay.
They are concerned, like I said before, they wanted a longer-term extension.
Mm-hmm.
We're still in a pandemic.
Right.
They were concerned that they get committed and in a black hole where they pour resources into the facility without the commitment of a long-term lease from the town. And they wanted the ability not to just walk away, but to suspend paying rent if they could verify that they were losing money until such time as we either agreed on a lower rent or opted to go in another direction. So that's
Okay.
really what the negotiation focused on, was letting them have the ability to pump the brakes if they're losing money on paying rent, not on operating the facility. They don't get to walk away from the facility if they're losing money.
Right.
If we come to the Board of Selectmen and the Board of Selectmen says, you know what, we'll give them 3 months of no rent and then we're going to issue an RFP, they have to continue to operate the facility until you have another operator in there.
Right, I understand that.
Yeah.
But I was just wondering, you know, was the facility doing poorly in the years before the pandemic to require this provision in here in case they did not break even? Is there, I mean, do you normally see this type of provision in a commercial lease? I do not.
I see free rent all the time.
Okay,
And in Connecticut, it's getting crazy. Used to be 1 or 2 months, now I see 6 months on major retail and commercial buildings.
would you
know,
say that's
I
more
don't-
because of the pandemic consequences?
To get tenants
That
in
it's-
buildings.
Yeah,
To fill vacant spaces, but, you know, I'm not privy to the facility's financial statements. I would be speculating, but I think it would be a pretty good speculation that if the facility was extremely profitable, I don't think we'd be getting it for nothing.
right, okay. But this was part of a negotiation, they wanted a longer term, and so this provision was put in here in consideration of a shorter term.
Yes.
Well, that makes sense. See, this is the whole purpose of me
It's a
talking with
very,
you,
very,
counsel.
very unusual transaction.
Yes,
And
and so,
a lot of the discussions were 3-party discussions versus the ordinary 2-party discussions.
right. My-
And the position that TFA is taking is a reasonable position, but I'm not TFA's lawyer.
Right,
So I don't really, with all due respect, worry about TFA. What I was worried about were the things that you hit on: liability,
yeah,
loss of taxes, and operational expenses. I don't want to see
exactly.
the
Those are the
town-
3 big ones. yeah.
Right. And I'm satisfied that that TFA and the Tagliatellas have been very reasonable in their indemnity commitments to the town
Right.
for pre-transaction costs and claims. I think that, you know, Mike was at meetings, we had a lot of discussions about what date we would have a chance to reevaluate this. Mike really wanted it to be a lot shorter, but TFA wanted it to be longer because they don't want to feel like, hey, you know, we spend 1.5 years of time and money and then something better comes along, or you think something better comes along and you pull the plug on us.
Exactly.
So, you know, we're looking at roughly 2.5 years out before, assuming they perform and they don't default, you get a second bite at the apple even if they perform
Right,
in 2.5 years. So if you feel, you know, if you're getting bad feedback, or you feel like, you know what, maybe we should take a look at just selling the property,
okay.
right, to a third party. You get that second bite at the apple in 2.5 years.
Right.
Well, as you said, and I agree, it's a very unusual transaction. So my questions are not, Counselor, my questions are not because I think it's poorly drawn, or I don't like them, or I'm looking for an
No, I
edit or a
understand.
change.
I understand.
I'm trying to understand the negotiation process
No, I get
in
it.
a document that's very strange to me.
No problem, I get it.
Okay,
Yeah.
so, you know, it's not, you know, well, what do you want? What's wrong with it?
No, I'm just looking, you know, we've spent months on this. So
Right.
if anybody has edits, we want to know what they are. We don't want to guess and then come
Yeah.
back here in 2 weeks with a new document.
It's not necessarily an edit, except for that grand list thing. It's more of an attempt to try to understand unusual provisions,
Okay?
okay?
Sure.
So you're doing fine in explaining them. The last one, 15, if TFA is required to close the facility due to a government order, their rent obligations shall be suspended for the duration of such closure. Now, this is one thing where I might have a little bit of a problem with the terms. there's no time limit on that. For example, if they're, did I read in here that they may be selling food? You might have some sort of food at the facility? Or drink, or no?
I mean, we just sell water and Gatorade.
Oh, okay, there's no,
There were smoothies pre-COVID, but we haven't restarted that as yet.
okay. But I would assume that the facility could be closed for violation of some governmental regulation, either Department of Health, some governmental agency must have some inspection obligations over these types of facilities, right?
Sure.
So they can be closed down for violating those regulations.
I mean,
Right.
other than, you mean non-COVID?
Right. Something. So my
I
question,
suppose if the bathrooms are really dirty, the Department of Public Health could come in and shut you
or
down.
something. I mean, my question, what I wrote in the margin here when I read this was that there's no time limit. It says
Duration of the closure.
yeah, well, so as long as they're closed because they're in violation, if they are closed due to a government order, for example, they're closed down by a government agency for violation of agency regulations, they don't have to pay rent during that duration of closure. Am I reading that correctly?
Yep.
Okay. It's a good deal.
I mean, we could change it. I mean, it says if TFA is required to close a facility due to government order or guidance from public health authorities pertaining to a public health emergency, we could say due to a government order pertaining to a public health emergency or guidance from public health authorities pertaining to a public health emergency.
Say that again.
Take the reference to pertaining to a public health emergency that refers to guidance from public health authorities and add it to the government order. So the
Okay.
only government order that you can close on the basis of is a public health emergency.
Okay, that's better. And
'Cause I have to talk to Pizzarella, but I think that's what the concern was that if the flavor of the month causes another lockdown and the health clubs get shut down again, they don't want to have to pay rent.
right, but they could also be shut down for violating some regulation of some sort.
Not really, they get due process, but,
That's right.
you know,
But
yeah,
we all have due process, I think.
yeah. I've never heard of DPH shutting a health club down.
Okay. But that wording is better.
Yeah, I
And-
think that'll be fine. I'll talk to Peter about it, but I don't see that.
And-
as a problem,
and-
'cause I think that's what the intention is.
And I agree with you on the indemnification provisions. They are protective of the town. I just had one question because as far as their public liability policy for, I'm in number 9, for claims based on bodily injury, parenthetically, it says including death. Do you think the 1 million is high enough?
You know, it's a very, very, very common discussion, you know, when you write any kind of, whether it's, you know, we do construction contracts for $100 million projects, and we can put insurance, you know, like sometimes you'll see a state or a federal procurement document that'll require $50 million worth of insurance, and you get 2 bidders. So, you know, trying to determine what the appropriate amount of CGL is, you know, we can all find jury verdicts for millions of dollars, and depending upon the age of the decedent
Right.
and the lost earning capacity and loss of consortium and all those kinds of things that juries put numbers on.
Big numbers.
You know, I mean, we took the limits from the ground lease,
Okay.
you know, because that's what we had in the ground lease. And we didn't think it was necessarily fair to renegotiate the insurance provision of the ground lease with the new tenant.
Okay.
I mean, the town has its own insurance,
Right.
so we're not gonna be uninsured.
No, I know, but they're first in line.
Yeah, I mean, you could do, there's a lot of things that we could do on the insurance front that would probably kill the deal.
Okay.
You know, I mean,
Well, we don't want to kill the deal.
the amount of insurance is a very, very big part of my daily life.
Okay,
Because
so
if you set insurance limits based on worst case scenarios, you can't buy enough insurance.
right.
You know, because then you start saying, okay, we want pollution liability insurance in case you're dumping WD-40 into the ground. You know, okay, we need $10 million of pollution liability insurance. That's going to cost you about $300,000 a year. You know, in a facility
Don't do
that's, you know, so you know, the indemnity provisions are only as good as the insurance coverage and the assets that stand behind them.
And you
And
have
that's-
to find a level that the market will bear.
Well, that's why if you look at, you know, I do commercial leases for REITs, and they have, you know, properties that are valued tens of millions of dollars, and a tenant with one release of a hazardous material could cause millions of dollars of damage to the property, and through, you know, migrating groundwater, get claims from adjoining property owners. So bottom line is, property owners really need to insure themselves against risk.
Okay.
And what the tenant provides as a baseline insurance should be proportionate to the rent, quite frankly.
Right.
You know, that's the way I looked at it, trying to be fair. I mean,
Okay.
if you were to say to me, hey, you know, this is a tenant that's paying $50,000 a month in rent, then I'd say, you know, give me a $5 million CGL and a $5 million excess policy that overlays the CGL and the auto insurance. You know, but
Okay.
I
So
don't want to over lawyer it and
Well,
and ignore the insurance that the town has, because the town, you know, you think about the types of third-party liability claims, negligence claims that you get slip and fall. That's what you get.
Right.
Because we don't have employees on this site. So if we're going to have, you know, we're not going to get a negligent supervision claim because we're not watching people exercise.
Right.
You know, we're gonna get a slip and fall claim, and we're probably, you know, I have to tell you, it's kind of amazing to me, but in the 31 years that I've been doing town of North Haven work, we've actually never had a slip and fall claim where the town was named as a party at this site, which I find to be very unusual because we own the land. So any plaintiff's personal injury lawyer that's going to bring a claim is going to include the town.
Right.
But we've never had one. But that doesn't mean we can't have one tomorrow. But from my perspective, you know, we already have risk, and we insure that risk. And I think, you know, a lot of this is all about risk allocation.
Okay.
And
So when
I
you
think
say
we've allocated some of the risk to the tenant, and we've held some of the risk for ourselves, given the nature of the transaction.
So you, by saying, when you say we've always had the risk as the owners of the land.
Exactly.
Right, but now you can argue we have more risk as the owners of the building. Even, like you say, we have no employees there, but we do now own or will, I think, own the building soon.
That's why we had the structural done,
Okay.
to make sure the
right.
roof wasn't going to cave in.
So, it was a good idea. So, you do understand my concern about the 1 million. Obviously, you said this is a primary issue in leases, but your answer that this is what it was prior, and that you're really, you know, we're always exposed as the owners of the land, you know. Anyway, but
Yeah, we'll be adding, if this gets approved and the transaction closes, this
Yeah.
property will be added to the town's property insurance
Right.
portfolio.
right.
So you'll have property insurance, and you'll have CGL, and you'll have excess that overlays the CGL and the PI. So
Okay.
town has plenty of insurance.
You know, and this, to me, the reason why the million stuck out as low to me was this is not a facility, an operation where people are going and having coffee and reading books. They're going and they're doing physical activity and working with equipment that can be dangerous. I don't know, is there any weightlifting equipment? So, it's not, and it is amazing that there hasn't been any other claims in the 47 years, there's been no, just slip and falls.
I don't know about before 1990, but not since 1990.
Okay, but that's what was going through my head. Now, we're not just the landowner, we're the building owner, and this is not a place where people are going to have tea and talk to their friends and work on their computer. This is a place where a lot of physical activity is occurring, and things could happen. But you've given the answer that the million is what was there before. You feel comfortable with it.
Well, you also have to remember that we're a municipality, and under 52.557N, we have qualified immunity for discretionary acts.
Right.
So the theories, the negligence theories against the town when we're not operating and we're not in possession of a fitness center are very, very limited. What exactly is the theory on a negligence claim that gets a plaintiff past summary judgment on proximate cause?
Well,
Because we've essentially delegated, through the indemnity provision, we've essentially delegated all responsibility to the tenant. So, if something happens, the town will definitely get sued.
yeah.
The more pockets in the case, the more money there is to settle the case. But we've had claims over the years against the town many, many, many times where the town never should have been a defendant and the town got out, either on a motion to strike or on a motion for summary judgment,
Right.
because of 52.557N. So, you got to remember the only tort liability we would have would be for failure to perform a ministerial act. And we don't have any, under this lease, we don't have any ministerial acts.
Well,
It's not obligating us to do anything.
I've dealt with 557 with subsection and the qualified immunity, and both times it is qualified, and both summary judgments were denied. So there's cracks in that subsection N.
I think it depends on the type of claim.
I'll send you the two decisions I was in.
You're talking about a slip and fall.
No, these were both with outdoor municipal parks, and both were death cases, and so there's cracks in subsection N.
But the municipality is obligated to maintain the park. That's the difference, right?
I'm just saying, there's cracks. You referenced the section, and it is qualified immunity, and there are cracks in it. So it's been heavily litigated, and it goes both ways. But if you're comfortable with the million, that's fine. That was my last issue. Thank you very much for enlightening me on some of the negotiation processes. It has helped to make this second amendment to the lease make more sense. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bill, do you have any questions?
Yeah, to go back to the equipment issue, it's great that the family is gifting the property and the equipment to us and everything. And maybe it doesn't belong in the lease, but should we have an inventory of the equipment?
We do.
We do. So, because obviously when they add equipment, that'll be their equipment versus ours.
Yeah, the personal property is getting conveyed by a bill of sale, and there's a Schedule A to the bill of sale.
So that way we'll know, what's ours, and is it possible that you might not want some of the equipment that, based on the way you envision the club, or where the town would need to remove it, or you're able
As
to
is, where is, no representations or warranties. We're not removing anything.
I'm sorry. Go.
Also included in the gift is the $1.25 million photovoltaic solar system on the rooftop. It's all paid for. It wasn't leased or financed or anything like that. All the money paid for the same thing.
Yeah. So,
Which is a nice thing that,
it is.
I think, a very wise thing that you did.
So, to summarize, we talked about a lot here tonight. I am in total support of this. And by taking this over, there is going to be some risk for the town. There's no question about it. But it's minimal based upon how this document is drafted. We'll make a couple of edits as we spoke about. But the absence of doing this, as I said on the outset, is that the place will close. That's what's going to happen, ladies and gentlemen. And everybody's going to be disenfranchised. So I am very confident and comfortable and happy with the job that TFA has done. Anna has been incredibly responsive to us here in this office when we had some people call with some problems. She has handled those problems right away and done an outstanding job. So as we have gone through this discussion tonight, have we identified some vulnerabilities for the town? Of course, there always are going to be. But I'm willing to accept the vulnerabilities to keep this perpetuated, to keep this facility moving forward, because it's so important to the fabric of this community. And by us doing this also, for what it's worth, and I think it's worth a lot, it's a perpetuation of the legacy of the Tagliatella family, who has been so generous to the town of North Haven down through the years and has done a lot for not only this community, but a lot of communities in this region. So.
Michael, I just want to say I equally support this.
Yes.
That's why I opened with that, and I opened with the wonderful comments I received about TFA. And I don't want my questions to council about a legal document to any way give an impression of concerns about how you are going to operate your business. I have an obligation as a member of the Board of Selectmen to look out for the legal rights and consequences of this rather strange transaction. So my inquiry with council was for those purposes and those purposes only. If anything, I feel strongly that I can live with this ground lease. He has addressed some of my concerns, and he has explained adequately other concerns. So I agree. There's risk with everything, but as I said in my opening comments, this is a facility that is loved by hundreds of people in town and has been for years, and I will be supporting it.
Okay. So now,
From a liability standpoint, how would it really differ, I mean, in any respect from the liability that, or the potential for liability that we have with athletic fields, and organizations use those athletic fields? This is an athletic facility, things happen with athletics, and we have athletic fields, and we already have, other organizations using.
The town's liability for an athletic field is greater than it is with respect to a leased
So that's a good point to maybe make then, just what you said, that we have maybe even less here
Yeah,
than we do with the athletic
the
fields.
town has complete custody, control, unilateral jurisdiction over the maintenance, the design, the construction, the maintenance, and the use of its athletic fields. In this situation, the town has no operational responsibility, no control over the program and the use of the indoor facility other than the general use as a tennis and fitness center. So the duties that are owed to people vary based on whether they're a trespasser, a social guest, a business invitee. The folks that use the town's athletic fields are afforded, the town owes them the highest duty of care. It's foreseeable that somebody gets hurt when a field that's maintained and designed and repaired by the town is defective. But for this particular facility where the town's not in control of or operating the facility, the town, like I said, I think it's
So that's a good point for
much
the public
different duty
to
of care.
understand, is that the town actually has less potential liability
Absolutely.
with this transaction and this facility than they would with the athletic.
Listen, I want to be clear about something, okay? The town, for many, 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 many years, has owned and rented out property. Go on Broadway, okay? But that's office space. It's not a fitness center. That's what makes this unique, that it's a fitness center. So, the town has risk associated with leasing any town-owned building, okay? And I would submit to you that the tenant in this transaction is willing to take a larger portion of the risk than many of the town's other tenants, if you were to look at other leases that the town enters into. Okay? So it's an unusual transaction. It's not, and it's not, you know, we could talk all night about this industry and the direction that this industry is going, okay? And the number of people that bought equipment during COVID and aren't going back to gyms. And this is not a Planet Fitness. It's not even a Health Tracks. This is a nonprofit that has a very specific mission, okay? It's not just any operator. And I would submit to you that if you were to do an RFP, you would not get any traditional operator, because this is not the type of facility, the layout of the facility, the size of facility that the operators who are in this to make money would invest in, right? I mean, it's not that type of facility, because it wasn't intended to be that facility when it was originally built. So, you know, it's not like we've got some great opportunity. You know, I'm sure there's other prospective users, but I think, I could be wrong, I'm sure, Mike, you've been contacted by some of them over the last year. I think we would have an unusual transaction with anybody if we did it this way. And the alternative is, like you said, you know, the tagliatellas can shut it down, and the services won't be available anymore.
The one outstanding thing that this transaction does is that it protects everybody who's using the facility. Any other transaction, Jeff is right, it would be a peculiar transaction. But in my opinion, we would not be able to replicate the wide range of services that TFA is offering right now, including having the Boys and Girls Club in, including the tennis for the seniors and the pickleball. I believe that this represents the best opportunity at this point in time to have everybody satisfied in terms of utilization.
Yeah, I mean, our goal with this was to try to find a way to make it happen with minimal risk to the town. That was, you know, once the Tagliatellas and TFA approached us and said, is there any structure that the town can get comfortable with so that the town is gifted the facility and the property, TFA is the tenant, and you know, so that's what we set out to do. The easiest thing in the world would have been to say, this is just too unorthodox, we're not going to do it, and I certainly would have signed up for that day one. But you know, the reality is there's more reasons to do it than not to do it, and the risk allocation is I think very equitable, and I don't think the town is unreasonably exposed in any way.
So Jeff, I think we've covered 5, 6, and 7 through this discussion. Am I correct on that, Val?
Yes.
Yeah, that's
Okay,
the reason that
everything.
I put them as separate items
Yep.
instead of one item. The reason I asked Val to put them as separate items is so the board would understand, not knowing what
Right.
the discussion was going to be or whether you were going to have anything to look at ahead of time, because the documents these documents have been very, very fluid. You know, because there's 2 sets of documents, actually 3 sets of documents. There's documents between 4 sets. There's documents between the Tagliatellas and North Haven Health and Racket. There's documents between the Tagliatellas and TFA. There's documents between TFA and the Tagliatella, between the town and TFA. There's documents between the town and the Tagliatellas. So there's been lots of documents flying around, and the idea behind having you vote on the separate items was just to,
Okay.
quite frankly, this really didn't have to come to you. You know, I mean, you're not buying a piece of property.
All right. Well, I'm glad it did
I
come
said,
to us.
I said from day one that it needed to come here, so.
Yes, you did.
Because it's so unusual. And I think we've covered everything that's on the agenda.
All right, so I'm going to turn it over to Sally and Bill to read 8, 9, and 10 here, okay? So who'd like to start?
I'll start with number 8, and it is a resolution. I will move that the town accept the proposed gift of the improvements and personal property therein at 100 Elm Street from Louis F. Tagliatella Jr., Stephen Tagliatella, and Patricia Tagliatella, and that the first selectman be and is hereby authorized to execute such appropriate documents as are necessary to effectuate the town's acceptance of the proposed gift. I will make that motion.
Is there a second?
I'll second Sally's motion.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any other discussion?
I would just like to thank the Tagliatellas for decades of service to the town of North Haven. I've enjoyed your facility in my younger days, and I just thought it was a great facility. It was very exciting when it came in. The whole town was abuzz about it, and I just wanted to thank your family for your service to our town.
Okay, thank you.
I'll second that, too.
All right, so all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, Bill, item number 9.
I'll move the resolution that the proposed assignment of the interest of North Haven Health and Racket, LLC, Louis F. Tagliatella Jr., Stephen Tagliatella, and Patricia Tagliatella to Tennis for All, Inc. is approved.
I'll second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? Hearing none, we'll call for that vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Sally?
Item 10, I will move resolution that the proposed Second Amendment to the Grand Lease pertaining to 100 Elm Street is hereby approved, and the first selectman is hereby authorized to execute the Second Amendment to Ground Lease by and between the town, North Haven Health and Racket LLC, and Tennis for All, Inc.
Is there a second?
I'll second that motion.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? Hearing none, we'll call for that vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Lou and Trish and Stephen, wherever you are, I'm going to miss you. Thank you for everything down through the years. And Anna, I look forward to continuing to work with you. Keep up the great work. I think you're doing fabulously. And Carlos, thank you for what you're doing for the town of North Haven. Okay.
Free to go?
You go. Free to go. Free to go. Thank you.
Take care. Nice to meet you.
Good night.
Good night now. All right, so we're at item number 11, and I'm just going to turn this back over to Sally and
Yeah, here we
Piper,
go.
okay?
Yes, I'm surprised they don't want to stay for this exciting
Exciting
reading. Yes, here we go. Let's just give a few more minutes
Yeah.
for the room to clear. Okay,
good,
I will do, we're starting with item 11, appointments and resignations. I will move the reappointment of David Carney, 56 Haywood Road, Hamden, Connecticut, as the Animal Control Officer for a one-year term to expire December 31st, 2022.
Okay, we have a motion. Is there a second?
I'll second.
All right, any other discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor? Aye. Next one, Bill?
I'll make a motion for the reappointment of Crystal Rashba, 76 Clifton Street, Wallingford, Connecticut, 06472, as the Assistant Animal Control Officer for a one-year term to expire December 31st, 2022.
Second?
All right, motion second. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Sally?
I'll move for the reappointment of Claudia Gioletti, 11 Falcon Crest Drive, to the Commission on Aging for a 3-year term to expire December 31st, 2024.
Is there a second?
I'll second that reappointment.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. make a motion to for the reappointment of Amy Lunn, 30 Melissa Drive, to the Commission on Aging for a 3-year term to expire December 31st, 2024.
Second?
Motion second, any other discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Next.
All right, I'll make the reappointment for Michael J. Frieda, 90 Highland Park Road, to the Volunteer Fire Department Benevolent Association Board of Governors for a 2-year term to expire on December 1st, 2023.
I'll second that reappointment.
I will abstain.
So I'll call for a vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And one abstention.
Thank you. Next.
I'll make a motion for the appointment of Donald F. Clark, 32 North Hill Road, to the Volunteer Fire Department Benevolent Association Board of Governors for a 2-year term to expire on December 1st, 2023.
Second?
Motion second, any other discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye. I'll move for the reappointment of Pasquale Nazzolillo, 7 Mansfield Road, to the Volunteer Fire Department Benevolent Association Board of Governors for a 2-year term to expire on December 1st, 2023.
I'll second that, the motion to reappoint Pat.
All right, motion second, any other discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Next.
Next is, I'll make a motion for the reappointment of Maurice Varney, 77 Elm Street, to the Volunteer Fire Department Benevolent Association Board of Governors for a 2-year term to expire on December 1, 2023.
Second?
Okay, motion second, any other discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye. I will move for the appointment of Angel Senyaro, 55 Thompson Street, 14F, East Haven, Connecticut, to the Volunteer Fire Department Benevolent Association Board of Governors for a 2-year term to expire on December 1st, 2023.
I'll second that appointment.
All right, we have a motion and a second, any other discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
I'll make a motion for the reappointment of Heidi A. Botcher, 45 Beach Street, to the Blight Prevention Appeals Board for a 2-year term to expire December 31st, 2023.
I will second that. That's Heidi Betker, my classmate from high school.
I apologize that I
That's
said her
okay.
name wrong.
Heidi Betker.
I'm sorry, Heidi, it's
That's
Betcher,
okay.
I'm sorry. instead of
I'll
Botcher.
second.
All right.
Thank you, Sally. I'm sorry, Heidi.
No, it's a tough one.
No, I guessed wrong, so I'm sorry.
All right. so
But
we have
thank you, Heidi, for your service, and I second your, or I agree with your, I made a motion for your reappointment.
All right, so we have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. I'll make a motion for the reappointment of Lynn Frederickson, 95 Pool Road, to the Blight Prevention Appeals Board for a 2-year term to expire December 31st, 2023.
I'll second that reappointment.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
I'll make a motion for the reappointment of Stephen M. Miller, 34 Sackett Point Road, to the Blight Prevention Appeals Board for a 2-year term to expire December 31st, 2023.
Second?
Motion second. Any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
I will make a motion, I get to appoint you again. I make a motion for the reappointment of Michael J. Frieda, 90 Harlem Park Road, to the Cemetery Commission for a 2-year term to expire December 1st, 2023.
I'll second that reappointment.
Okay,
Okay,
assuming
I'll abstain.
Michael will abstain, I'll call for a vote for that reappointment. All those in favor, say aye. Aye. Okay, so we have one abstention.
Make a motion for the reappointment of Ronald L. Bathrick Jr., 37 Susan Lane, to the Community Services Commission for a 3-year term to expire December 31st, 2024.
Second?
Okay, motion second. Any other discussion? All those in favor? Aye.
Aye. Oh, I'll make a motion for the
Again for
reappointment of Michael J. Frieda, 90 Highland Park Road, to the Economic Development Commission for a 3-year term to expire December 31st, 2024.
I'll second that motion of Sally's.
I'll abstain.
Okay, so I'll call for a vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Next is I'll make a motion for the reappointment of Richard Lopresti, 175 Sentinel Hill Road, to the Economic Development Commission for a 3-year term to expire December 31st, 2024.
I think I should recuse myself.
Okay. All right, I'll second that motion. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
I'll make a motion for the reappointment of Alan J. Sturts, 136 Hartley Street, to the Economic Development Commission for a 3-year term to expire December 31st, 2024.
I'll second Alan's reappointment.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Aye. I'll motion for the reappointment of Jonathan D. Lewin, 78 Allendale Drive, to the Board of Ethics for a 3-year term to expire December 31, 2024.
Yeah. It says December 32nd. I think that's January 1st. But, so, that's a typo. Do we need to amend the agenda?
It's just a typo, especially since there's no such date.
No. So I will second that appointment for the term to expire December 23rd, 2024.
All right, all those in favor?
31st.
Oh, 31st. Oh, I thought it was inverted. See? Another mistake.
Okay.
31st,
Yes.
2024.
All right, so we have a motion and a second. Any other discussion?
I hope not.
Okay.
Okay.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Next.
Oh, good. Here. I'll make a motion for the reappointment of Mark Genovese, 1322 Ridge Road, as the Department of Motor Vehicles Hearing Officer for a 2-year term to expire December 31st, 2023.
I'll second Mark's reappointment.
All right, motion second. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
I'll make a motion for the reappointment of Richard Lopresti, 175 Sentinel Hill Road, to the Housing Authority Board for a 5-year term to expire December 31st, 2026.
I'll second that motion.
Yes, mark me as recused, please.
Right, okay. So we have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Next.
I'll make a motion for the reappointment of Joseph Louis Tennodyne III, 170 Kings Highway, to the Inland Wetlands Commission for a 4-year term to expire December 31st, 2025.
I'll second his reappointment.
All right, motion second. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye. I'll make a motion for the reappointment of Frank H. Bumstead, 1925 Hartford Turnpike, to the Inland Wetlands Commission for a 4-year term to expire December 31st, 2025.
I'll second Frank's reappointment.
Motion second. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I'll make a motion for the reappointment of Robert Bykowski, 99 Spring Road, as the Land Records Auditor for a 2-year term to expire November 30th, 2023.
Second?
Motion second. Any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye. I make a motion for the reappointment of Jeremy J. Bykowski, 175 Clintonville Road, as the Land Records Auditor for a 2-year term to expire November 30th, 2023.
I'll second that reappointment.
Motion second. Any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
I'll make a motion for the reappointment of Ruth Bryant, 30 Blue Hill Roads, to the Library Board of Directors for a 6-year term to expire December 31st, 2027.
Wow, I'll second that.
Okay, motion second. Any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye. I will make a motion for the reappointment of Michael E. Fletcher, 35 Ansonia Drive, to the Library Board of Directors for a 6-year term to expire December 31st, 2027.
I'll second that reappointment.
Motion second. Any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
I'll motion the reappointment of Alfred A. Centone, 91 William Street, to the Parks and Recreation Commission for a 4-year term to expire December 31st, 2025.
Second?
Motion second. Any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye. I'll motion for the reappointment of Frank A. Montagna, 123 Shawmut Avenue, to the Parks and Recreation Commission for a 4-year term to expire December 31st, 2025.
I'll second that reappointment.
Motion and a second. Any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
I'll motion the reappointment of Michael Maturo, 111 North Kill Road, as the tree warden for a 2-year term to expire December 31st, 2023.
Second?
Motion second. Any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. I'll motion for the reappointment of Ann Benowitz, 15 Marion Drive, as the municipal director to the Central Regional Tourism District for a 3-year term to expire December 31st, 2024.
I'll second that reappointment.
Motion and a second. Any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I'll make a motion for the reappointment of Michael J. Frieda, 90 Highland Park Road, to the Water Pollution Control Authority for a 2-year term to expire December 1, 2023.
Second?
I'll abstain, but I just want to share with the public, those watching, that you see my name on some of these commissions. Some of these commissions require the first selectman to sit on these commissions, so this WPCA is a good example of that, but I'll abstain from this vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Just as a note, though, should that be December 31st instead of December 1st?
No, because that goes with his term in office, just as he was just explaining, it's because he's the chief elected official. So when his term ends on this as well.
Which is why that's as of December 1st.
Exactly,
Versus the next one is December 31st.
correct.
Okay.
Okay.
I make a motion for the reappointment of William J. Lane, 1060 Hartford Turnpike, to the Water Pollution Control Authority for a 4-year term to expire December 31st, 2025.
I'll second his reappointment.
All right, motion second. Any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye. I'll motion the reappointment of Thomas Muir, 23 Clark Avenue, to the Water Pollution Control Authority for a 4-year term to expire December 31st, 2025.
Second?
Motion second. Any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye. I'll make a motion for the reappointment of Richard A. Werner, 15 Elliott Court, to the Water Pollution Control Authority for a 4-year term to expire December 31st, 2025.
I'll second that reappointment.
Motion and a second. Any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
I'll motion the reappointment of Edward J. Swinkowski, 23 Tammy Hill Road, Wallingford, Connecticut, as the Welfare Administrator for a 2-year term to expire December 31st, 2023.
Second?
Motion second. Any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I'll make a motion for the appointment of Christine Reardon, 92 Frost Drive, to the Economic Development Commission for a 3-year term to expire December 31st, 2024.
I'll second her reappointment.
Motion and a second. Any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye. I'll make a motion for the appointment of Keith McDowell, 1854 Hartford Turnpike, to the Parks and Recreation Commission for a 4-year term to expire December 31st, 2025.
Second?
Motion second. Any other discussion?
I just quickly want to say, these two are appointments, so so these are new folks coming on board here?
Yeah, so let me explain that. Well, what we do, Valerie and I, is everybody who serves on these volunteer boards and commissions, we always give them the right and the option to renew themselves. We send letters of intent or letters out asking them if they like to continue. We never kick anybody off these boards. There are provisions, if people don't come to meetings, then that's different. So they're loyal to us, they're loyal to these boards, Republicans, Democrats. We offer them the opportunity to continue. Now, in what Sally just mentioned, there's a couple that chose not to continue. And that's why you see going from reappointment to appointment. And that's why these two are being appointed.
I just wanted to say, I reviewed in our packet both of their resumes, and very impressive individuals. I don't know either, and I just want to welcome them on board. Their Economic Development Commission and Parks and Rec Commission, I was very impressed with their credentials, so I just wanted to say that.
That's a very good point.
Thank you.
Christine Reardon, we've known for years. She worked for Workforce Alliance and has a tremendous economic development background, and she's a North Haven resident, of course. Keith McDowell, his resume, he's in the Wilbur-Cross Sports Hall of Fame. He was all-district in soccer. He was the leading scorer in 1976 in Wilbur-Cross for hockey, and he was all-district in baseball. He's also in the National and the Connecticut Slow-Pitch Softball Hall of Fame, in addition to all of his other work that he's done in that resume. You saw it,
Very
Sally,
impressive,
right?
yes.
Very impressive.
Both of them. So I'm glad to see a couple of new people, and very qualified, and I wish them the best as they fulfill their missions on their respective boards. So, did we do a vote on Mr. McDowell?
No. So we have a motion?
Yeah, and we had seconded,
And a second.
then, yeah.
I'll second.
All right. Any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Back to the reappointments.
Yes. I forgot whose turn it is, so I'll go. I will motion the reappointment of Brian Havens, North Haven Funeral Home Director, as Sub-Registrar of Vital Records for the Town of North Haven, as recommended by J. Stacy Yarborough, Town Clerk, Registrar of Vital Records for the Town of North Haven, effective December 1st, 2021, terminating on November 30th, 2023.
I'll second that reappointment.
All right.
I'll second that reappointment. I'm sorry.
Motion and a second. Any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Next.
Reappointment of John Iacobacci, Washington Memorial Funeral Home Director, as Sub-Registrar of Vital Records for the Town of North Haven, as recommended by J. Stacy Yarborough, Town Clerk, Registrar of Vital Records for the Town of North Haven, effective December 1, 2021, terminating on November 30th, 2023.
Second?
All right. Motion, second. Any other discussion? All those in favor? Aye.
I will move to accept the resignation of Paul Colello, 24 Fieldstone Court, from the Library Board of Directors, term due to expire December 31st, 2022.
I'll thank him for, his service on the library board, and I'll second Sally's motion for his resignation.
Just in the discussion, Paul is moving out of town. Sadly, he lost his mother a couple of months ago, and he and his father will be moving out. So thank you, Paul, for all the years of service on this library board. All those in favor?
Aye.
We're done with appointments and reappointments.
Okay.
For those in the audience who are asleep, you could wake up now.
Right.
And we're
We're at
Val? Okay.
We're at number 12.
Yes, we're doing item 12, which is our bond releases. This is item P 20-23-475 Washington Avenue, original amount of bond $3,500, current balance of bond $3,500. I'll make a motion to release this bond in its entirety with the recommendation of the Planning and Zoning Commission. I reviewed all of the documentation associated with this effort to release this bond, and all conditions were satisfied, and so I will make this motion.
I'll second the release of those bonds.
Okay, motion and a second. Any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
13, item 13.
Item number 13 are a small number of property tax refunds. I'll make a motion to approve those tax refunds.
Second?
All right. We have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. But we've asked Sally to make a couple of announcements. So Sally, I'd like you to do that before I get to item number 14.
Oh, sure. We were asked to remind the folks listening about the North Haven Mascot Committee. announcing the finalists for the December vote. And so all students will be voting via Google starting the week of December 6th. Now, citizens can also can vote for the mascot of their choice. And paper ballots will be available at the senior center, the library, the town hall, and you will have to show proof of residency. And this will also be from December 6th to the 10th. And non-students can also vote online. Is that true?
Yes,
Yeah, on Google.
yes.
Okay. So if you want to vote for your favorite mascot, the time to do so is December 6th through the 10th.
That's right.
Okay? And again, you could pick up a ballot at the senior center, the library, or town hall. Okay?
Excellent.
All right?
Sally, how
And I-
many times can we vote? Please only vote,
Once.
please only vote once.
Okay. And I think we should remind folks about the tree lighting
Yes.
Sunday. Do you want to give some details on that?
Yes, so we have our tree lighting from 4 to 5 p.m. on Sunday evening, and we anticipate a very good crowd. Santa Claus will be there for the children, so I am looking forward to it, and hopefully, Sally, you'll be there, and Bill, you'll be able to make it.
Yeah, I will be.
So I anticipate the actual tree lighting to be somewhere between 4:50 and 5 p.m. And I have asked these beautiful little girls who are representing North Haven in this cheerleading contest. They've received regional, statewide recognition, and they continue to represent North Haven in their competition. So I'm going to have these 8 little cheerleaders with us on the gazebo. I'm going to ask them to light the Christmas tree this year, and I'm proud of each and every one of these little girls, 8 years old, for the way they're representing North Haven in this, I believe it's a national cheerleading competition.
I believe it is. I think they're going to Florida.
They're going to Florida. So they will be with us on the gazebo.
Right, so that's it for announcements.
All right, the next meeting for this Board of Selectmen will be Thursday, January 6th here at Town Hall. And before we get into public comment, I'd like to, on behalf of Sally and Bill, wish everybody a very happy and healthy Christmas, Hanukkah, Kwanzaa, and a very happy and healthy holiday season. Seems hard to believe another year has gone by, but we're grateful for our residents here in North Haven. We love each and every one of you, and we look forward to seeing you in January.
I just want to add, everyone, please, we have a little uptick going on in the COVID, so, you know, we all want to get together with family and friends. Let's be careful. And again, encourage people to be careful. I did want to just stress, you announced the next meeting is January 6th, 2022. We should emphasize that we're starting at 6:30. That'll be the first meeting where we're starting at 6:30 p.m. rather than 7. So
Excellent point. Thank you
let's
for
emphasize
saying
that. Hopefully, the 3 of us will show up at 6:30. That's all I could say. Okay.
Okay. All right. Item number 15, any public comment tonight?
And the reason we did that was to hopefully help people come to the meeting in person, or, you know, I think to make it earlier, right? I think that's why we moved it, so that make it easier for people.
We definitely moved it to make it earlier.
To make it earlier, to make it easier.
You hit the nail right on the head
We
there,
want people
Bill.
to,
You didn't want to
we
comment?
want people to come to the
Yeah,
meeting.
you know, how could I go, you know, I can't make my motion for adjournment without commenting on First Selectman's new look. I think it looks great. And we're glad you're doing well and looking so well.
Thank you.
So,
I think it's a temporary look. There was a No Shave Month in November to support cancer awareness that goes through December. So I was rehabbing from knee surgery. After all the years of playing sports, I breezed through that, back in sort of record time here at Town Hall. So I kept it. We'll see how long it lasts, but I'll get mixed views here in Town Hall. Some like it, some don't, so we'll see how it goes.
okay, with that, said, I will make a motion to adjourn and wish both you and Bill a happy holiday and Merry Christmas.
Same to you, Sally.
Yes.
Thank you very much, and Bill, thank you, and motion to adjourn.
Thank everybody, too. Happy holidays.
All right.
Thank you for coming tonight.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Second,
Happy
Thank you.
holidays.
Thank you
second
for
the
staying.
motion to adjourn, please, Bill.
Second motion.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
I made a motion,
I'll
second.
second, I'm sorry.
Aye, all in favor?
Aye.
All right. Otherwise, we have to stay here, right?
The preceding program is brought to you in part through a grant from the town of North Haven. Watch town meetings or other videos on demand at nhtv.com.